On July 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, 1992, at Green Hill Park in Worcester, Massachusetts, a most sophisticated gathering of enormously dignified members of society's most elegant families assembled for a simple, quiet pursuit of deeply intellectual activities. Not. The 1992 New England Summer Nationals. The second time this July 4th celebration of performance was held at spacious Green Hill Park in Worcester. Hundreds of cars and thousands of certified motorheads. What better a combination? While many outdoor shows highlight street rods, pre-1948 vehicles, or street machines, post-48 vehicles, the New England Summer Nationals opens the gates to any pre-1972 or 72-based car or truck. Rods, customs, classics, just about anything goes. The 1992 event enjoyed that typically New England schizoid weather pattern. Sunshine for a while, overcast for a while, rain for a while. But as was the case in 1991, there was a laundry list of both indoor and outdoor shenanigans on the program, so nobody really worried about the latest forecast. Bob Moscofian is the promoter of the New England Summer Nationals.
The New England Summer National started last year. It was just a dream. The dream came through with 1,889 cars last year, 2 days of rain, and a few days of rain this year, but it was a complete success.
And anyone who was there would have to agree, based on the outstanding cars that rolled into the Summer Nationals. We couldn't possibly show you every car and speak to every person who poured into the New England Summer Nationals in 1992. Nor could we include each and every event which was scheduled for the entire 4 days of the bash. But there's a whole bunch for you to see on this video. So let's get down to the meat and potatoes and lay some eyeball on some of these rides. Here's Sue and Tony Rossotti's 1950 Merc.
It's stock, except that it's been nose and decked, and anything on it is bolt on. So the car is basically still original. We've had it 3 years, but since we've got it, we did off frame, gutted it, repainted it, reupholstered it. The door handles are all off. The magnetic reed switches are in a spotlight. We have a magnet in front of them, and the doors pop open. In fact, we shaved it all the way down the sides. The chrome strip down the side is missing. It hasn't been chopped or anything. The body line's stock.
Well, I anticipated buying that car back in '87. It was a nice classic. We did a frame-off restoration on the car myself with the assistance of good friends in my club, CVSRs, Champlain Valley Street Rodders in St. Albans, Vermont. I've enjoyed building the car as much as driving the car. It's just recently been completed. We completed it in this spring, basically. This is our second time we've come to this meet. We're here last year. The car was partially completed last year, but this year we're very pleased.
My car is a 1929 Ford Roadster. It's a steel car, not a fiberglass car. It sits on 1932 Ford frame rails. It has a 1932 Ford grill shell. It's got a Chevrolet V8 motor and transmission and a Lincoln rear end. It's got four-wheel disc brakes. It runs Weber carburetors. The motor's all balanced and blueprinted, and it's just been finished this year for the second time. It was burgundy last year. I took it apart and gutted the car and redid it in winter mint green for this show. The blower whines and the exhaust is fairly loud, not loud.
While Bill takes a quick cruise of the show in his brawny Roadster. Let's check in at one of the many indoor activities, like the pedal car drag races. As if by magic, one of the corridors of the host hotel, the Worcester Marriott, was transformed into a pint-sized Pomona, with a large spectator contingent cheering on these mini match racers. The pressure was intense. In fact, too much for some to handle. These future top fuelers brought new meaning to the term running on the bottle, and it was clearly the first organized drag race ever staged on a fully carpeted drag strip. No, we didn't see Chris Economaki conducting interviews at the finish line. If you're old enough to remember the Dragon Lady Shirley Shahan in her thundering Mopar, racing Butch Leal, the California Flash, in their altered wheelbase funny cars, this matchup may look remotely familiar. And this could be the next Shirley Muldowney. The racer on the right would seem to have a size advantage in this race, but as drag racers have frequently learned, cubic inches are not always the fastest way to go. The pedal car drags were just one of several ingenious activities the New England Summer Nationals presented in 1992, and everyone loved them. Another of the more popular events that took place over the weekend at the New England Summer Nationals was the Miss New England Summer Nationals beauty pageant. 10 hopeful young women presented themselves to the pageant judges in several areas of competition, vying for the title of Miss New England Summer Nationals 1992. Here's how some of the pageant went. After modeling several different outfits in front of the judges, each contestant was asked why she thought she could best represent the New England Summer Nationals.
Tell us, Liz, why do you think you best represent the New England Summer Nationals?
I feel that I would best represent the New England Summer Nationals because I'm outgoing, very personable. I love dealing with people and meeting new people. I also feel that I'm diversified because I do tons of different things. I'm in the United States Army Reserve. I fix guns, get down and dirty there. And by day, I'm a legal assistant, and I'm also working on my MBA. So there I've covered regular, everyday blue-collar workers, fixing guns, and white tie, legal assistant, and students. So I think that I can relate to everybody, and I know that there's a lot of promotional activity involved. So I think you need somebody that can promote and talk to everybody.
And the bungee jumpers, too.
And the bungee jumpers.
Thank you, Mr. Clark.
Thank you.
And when the votes had all been counted, the Army Reservist Legal Assistant student, Liz Kafari, was named Miss New England Summer Nationals for 1992. Congratulations to Liz and all the lovely contestants who took part. As event promoter Bob Moscopian extends his congratulations, we'll catch up to the Queen and her court later on. Meanwhile, back outside, to say that the variety of street rods, street machines, muscle cars, trucks, and classics that converged on Green Hill Park on this July weekend reflected the entire spectrum of the performance universe would be slightly understating the case. And if you don't believe me, just take a look. At this point, we were looking for a little ice-cold refreshment. That's when we discovered the ice cream man from hell.
Well, I started a few years ago by rebuilding this 1954 ice cream truck that stands right behind me with some pretty girls working the door. And fooling around, I just went to a car show one day and so many folks had asked me, do you really sell ice cream out of that? And that just brought me to the next step. And the next show I did, I packed it with ice cream and off we went. back a few years ago when my mom and dad said, Jim, you could have anything you want in this country. All you got to do is be able to work hard enough for it, never complain, and keep going. And today, as I live and breathe, I try to portray the image that any guy could have anything they want in this country. Long hair, tattoos, black, white, European, doesn't matter. You got to have a dream, you got to have a desire, have to have it in your heart and go for it.
Tell me, what should the kids do when you show up in their neighborhood?
Probably run the other way. No. Like they always do, they should flag me down and stop by and ask if they can ring my bells. And some of the older folks even ask if they could ring my bells. And they asked me, oh, could I look inside the freezer? I always wanted to do that as a child, and I give them the opportunity to do all that. Because it was here back in 1954 to serve people, and it's here today for the same reason. Folks that put children through school and fed families with these ice cream trucks, it's just a part of American history that's been set aside. And I feel that it's my job to keep it going. I got Wham Bam Banana, Dixie Cups, all flavors and push-ups too. I try to keep them licking from the cradle to the grave.
Being a New York rep consists of a lot of time.
Bob Schlegel is the New York State rep for the New England Summer Nationals, and we asked him how he thought the 92 event had stacked up.
Excellent. It took a while to get something back in the Northeast because you got all the other major associations doing something, but when Bob put this together and he got in touch with us down in our area and he says, you know, I need help, try it, you know, we put it together with him and it worked out really, really good. And the response from everybody coming up here, this whole angle right here in the corner is all basically all the New Yorkers that come up in one group. We average anywhere from 6 to 14 cars in the group when we go out for a Sunday ride.
Then he told us about the great-looking street rod he had brought with him.
My vehicle here is a 1928 Ford Model A Woody panel truck. It's built back to original design the way it was. From 1928 to 1932, it was registered with the Postal Service. It was a rural mail delivery vehicle. That's why it's the enclosed type. Modifications we did to it is suicide doors on it. They open up the old suicide way, and everybody else runs small block Chevys in it. I made it different. I did a Buick V6, 3.8 Buick V6 automatic with the 9-inch Ford rear. It just brakes all the way around. The whole drivetrain's Mustang 2 underneath. 15 miles to the gallon. That's what I like about it. They can't hit me with gas crunches no more. And it sits back and goes. So we have a good time. I want to be different. You got your coupes, you got your stands, you got your roadsters. And when I saw this sitting in the yard for sale, I said, that's my hook. Everybody says I got to do stuff different. I don't do nothing the same as everybody else. So when I put this on the road, they says, well, you topped it again. But it's a real nice ride. It gets good response. And, you know, it really, really goes over well. And plus I can carry all the equipment or back home I DJ some sound shows and stuff. That's why it's named the Music Box. So I figure hook everything in together. And then if we got to go out and one of the cars is tight on space, throw it in the Music Box. I'll carry it.
Meanwhile, Speedy's, a notorious Worcester hot rod hangout of the 60s, was again recreated at the Summer Nationals. And just like 30 years ago, there were hot cars and curious gearheads gathered all around. It was a journey back through time, with the customized street machines parked everywhere, like this 56 Merc, nosed, decked, and shaved with bubble headlights and cruiser skirts. This bone-stock 42 Ford ragtop and a tricked-out Willys coupe. This Merc lead sled was a real radical piece, along with French headlights, gangster white walls, and an upholstery job with a musical theme. Everyone got a charge out of the vintage jukebox adorning the headliner and a genuine Seaberg booth console built under the dash. What better name for this outrageous street rod than Bop Till You Drop? Elsewhere in the park, a police escort was leading a very special procession. The official welcoming parade for the newly crowned Miss New England Summer Nationals, Liz Kafari, and her lovely retinue of companions.
Hey, it's like a big candy contest last night.
We had a chance to speak briefly with them.
It was great. I just wish the weather was better. Not enough sun, but a great weekend. A lot of fun, a lot of great cars. A lot of them had to leave because of the weather, but there's still some beauty here.
I think it's great. I'm very excited. I can't wait. We have a photo shoot today around all the empty cars in our bikinis.
I'm really excited to be in their calendar and to walk around and see all the beautiful cars and meet the people.
We're having a great time. I just hope it doesn't rain.
And yet another Elvis sighting. What did the king have to say?
You know this song? Good. How's been for you this year? Very, very good. Very good. You any singing? A lot of singing. All right. Yeah, we're trying to do the best we can, keep the memory going, if you know what I mean.
How's it keeping the women off you, being Elvis?
It's tough, but we try to do it.
There was another celebrity at the New England Summer Nationals who was no look-alike. This is Ed Big Daddy Roth, the one and only, one of the true pioneers of the hot rod phenomenon. He shared some of his personal history with us.
I started out in the 60s with the name of Ed Roth, and about 62, Revell Model Car came to me and said, we want to make some little model kits, but the name Ed Roth is not cool, so we want you to take on this list of names and choose one. So it had like Roach, Spider, Slimbo, Von Eddie, about 50 good names. And I thought to myself, no, I don't want to change my name. I just want to add to it a little bit, you know, put something in the middle, like a nickname, which in high school they called me Big Ed, but I didn't think that was a good nickname. So at the time, there was a lot of coffee houses around, beatnik coffee houses. And the guys that were reading the poetry, they were named Big Daddies, see? And so it was me and Garlitz that took on this name of Big Daddy. And it worked for me on the kits. It looked good in type. And then I had a logo made later that had the little rat fink in the middle of the Big Daddy. So it worked out good for me in the last 30 years. That was almost, yeah, it was 30 years ago. In the early days, we used to paint the shirts with an airbrush. And I'd be at the shows really bored. Started out painting guys' club names on the back of the T-shirts. And I got too slow, so I got me an airbrush. So then if I wanted to quit, I just paint a big bloody eyeball on there, and the guys would get so mad about that they'd just leave me alone. But the trouble is, there was other guys that would want that bloody eyeball on there. So they'd come to me and say, well, you know, you're getting $2 for a name. I'll give you $5 to paint this bloody eyeball back there. So I started doing bloody eyeballs. And I'm not really a monster painter. I've never been to art school a day in my life. And I needed a character because I was painting one-eyed guys and two-eyed guys and three-eyed guys and four-eyed guys. I needed a character for myself. So I was sitting in a restaurant one night trying to explain to this guy how Mickey Mouse had grown from this really rough stick figure to a really nice, well-airbrushed figure in a Fantasia. And I says, now if you go back far enough in Mickey Mouse's life, you find that his father looked like this, a really stupid piece of artwork. And I did that. I did it on a napkin. I still have that napkin today. And the next day he came back and he says, I want you to draw that on a T-shirt for me. And I was just only kidding this guy, you know. So I did that, and he brought his friends around, and it kept on growing now for 30 years. We're at the car shows, that's about all I sell is rat pink T-shirts. The cars that I've built have always been sort of like a statement that says, hey, Detroit, listen to what I'm doing, and listen to what the American public is saying. Don't give us the trash, give us the good stuff. Well, in the 60s, they didn't listen, and the Japanese came out with all these great cars, and they still don't listen. So Detroit will never listen, and I found out, recently why. Everybody's afraid to lose their job. So I just keep on building the crazy stuff and saying, someday they'll realize that people don't need all that tin and metal and junk. They need to build the cars lower, they need to get the engines in the back, and they need to get them smaller so that people can use them. I also need to do something with solar power. So with my cars, I've always made those kind of statements. The California events have really great cars, but the people don't come there. So it's sort of an enigma there. I don't know what it all means, but what I would like to see is more guys from the East Coast go to California to see what they're doing out there. And I'd like to see the California promoters come out here to see how these New England promoters manage to get all these people in here.
Well, Big Daddy might be interested to find that the New England Summer Nationals attracts its massive crowd by making sure there's plenty of activity to keep everyone busy all weekend long. For instance, there was a battle of the bands at the '92 Summer Nationals. And in between bands, a visit from yet another celebrity. That night at the Sock Hop, complete with a live DJ, Pee-wee thrilled the crowd, as only Pee-wee can.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Pee-wee Herman. Yeah, all right, Pee-wee. Looking good, brother.
Meanwhile, outside the hotel, beneath the streets of Worcester, there was more activity. A fire-belching showdown for supremacy in the flame-throwing competition. An alcohol injection system plumbed into the exhaust, along with a driver-activated igniter, and things begin to cook. A fitting way to commemorate the July 4th holiday. Tailpipe fireworks that light up the night. Let's watch. The next day, it was obvious that everyone's desire for fire hadn't been fully satisfied the night before, even in the kids' contingent. But if the sound and the fury of the New England Summer Nationals could be encompassed by one event, the muffler rap contest, held this year inside the tunnel adjacent to the hotel, would definitely fill the bill, with high compression energy blasting off the interior walls of the tunnel. This was rap music like no other. And the object of this exercise in acoustic Armageddon was simple: to create the most ear-pounding exhaust note ever to explode from a combustion chamber. It was an experience. Bob Moscoffian got to ride shotgun with one of the muffler rap entrants. When it was all over, Miss New England Summer Nationals presented these sultans of sound with their hard-earned trophies. Right now, grab a seat beside us as we tour Green Hill Park and take in some of the summertime sights of the '92 New England Summer Nationals. Suddenly, we noticed this bizarre vehicle, sort of like a cross between a golf cart and a nitro funny car following us. We had to stop and investigate. We discovered it was the work of Earl Newt.
Last year, being one of the officials, we only had 10 carts and roughly 50-some or more officials, so every time you turned around, someone would steal your cart. So I says, well, this year, I'm going to have my own cart, and you'll be able to see it from anywhere in the park. So I went to the people at Easy Go, and I told them what I was doing, and they were nice enough to give me an old cart, and then I just put it together with some old pieces I had laying around. I got roughly $600 in the whole cart. But to build one of these, you're probably looking at $6,000 or more. The back tires are the Mickey Thompson 21.5s. They're the widest tire that's street legal that you can buy today. And they're just mounted on some old stock car rims, which I modified to fit the golf cart rear end, which is, the whole chassis on the cart is basically a stock chassis with a narrowed rear end by narrowing the stock rear end and stuff and rearranging the motor and narrowing the chassis. And I built a custom dropped axle in the front for it, which you can't see a lot of stuff that was done. And then my wife made me a nice little neat top, which worked out very good today because of the rain and whatnot. But I've had a lot of fun with it, and to get a lot of comments, and a lot of people want me to build them for them now, but I don't know.
Let's take a quick look at some of the other cars that caught our attention at the New England Summer Nationals. Here's Tom Buonacor's unusual 1961 Falcon. Tom has given it a full pro street treatment, including a narrowed rear end, coilover suspension, wheelie bars, a chute, and it's all powered by a small block Ford 289. Lee Pompey's 1931 Ford 5-window features a supercharged 350 Chevy with an automatic and overdrive. Lee says he never trailers it. The car is practically a daily driver, and it still looks terrific. Al and Mary Hamilton's full custom Chevy boasted some bodacious bodywork. Here are a couple of more Chevys. This is Jim Treseder's Wild 49 with a tilt nose covering a full house small block, capped with dual quads. And this 51 Chevy truck of Ron and Gene Adams. The hand-built wood body represents hundreds of hours of work. This 29 Ford Roadster of Bob LeClaire has a lot of gusto, thanks to a supercharged Chevy 350 with nitrous sitting between the frame rails. And then we stumbled across this Jeep Gladiator pickup truck, stuffed to the gunnels with a 455 cubic inch Buick V8. Nobody we spoke with took responsibility for it. Lee Goulet, however, proudly took credit for his 327-powered, chop-channeled and lowered 48 Ford Coupe. Here's Joe Sandella's 56 Ford two-door, Bob Rotondo's 36 Ford, Gerald and Catherine Bovat's 39 Ford, Gene Bonner's Super Trick 83 Chevy S10, the Slick Deuce Coupe of Bob Cross, pulling an equally slick trailer, Al and Cat Fornataro's 39 Oldsmobile, also pulling a great-looking trailer. And so many other fabulous cars and trucks to admire at the '92 Summer Nationals. But nighttime brought another spectacle, this time of sound and smoke to the Worcester streets. In the cordoned-off tunnel downtown, the New England Summer Nationals burnout competition brought out a throng of power-hungry spectators and a bellowing lineup of heavy-footed street fighters screeching out of a makeshift water box. It's not often that you can raise as much of a horsepower hullabaloo as this right on the street without danger of attracting a bubblegum machine. The only thing that could have been more fun watching it was actually doing it. The New England Summer Nationals award ceremony on Sunday was the long-awaited moment when the owners and builders of many of the phenomenal automobiles on display during the holiday weekend received special recognition. Dozens of awards and trophies were handed out to the many class winners and runners-up competing in the vast array of show categories. Plus, special awards were given for best paint, best engine, best interior, and many other subclasses of competition. 3 customized trash cans from Ed Big Daddy Roth were auctioned off, ultimately raising several $100s for charity. But at any show of this kind, the ultimate moment is when the Best of Show award is given out. At the New England Summer Nationals, this award is called Best of the Best, and in 1992, it was won by Jim Harris for his absolutely stunning 1937 Ford four-door.
Okay, that's for the best of the best.
Right now I'm in shock. This is the very first show we've had the car to. It's been nearly 4 years in the making. Myself, my wife, my best friend have spent a lot of time building this car, and a lot of thought went into it. And during a period last year when we were almost ready to finish it up, my partner had a heart attack and a quad bypass surgery, and we just put the car on hold until he was ready to work on it again, because he had so much blood and sweat, tears, and love into it. We kind of dedicated the car to him. Thank God he's alive and well and here and enjoyed the show, and he's sharing in the happiness right now. 37 Ford four-door sedan. It's the humpback model. They had 2 models of sedans called flatback and humpback. We started from the ground up with the chassis. We've got a Mustang 2 front end under it. We used the original frame rails and boxed them, put an 8-inch Ford rear under it. It has disc brakes all the way around. It's got an all-stainless exhaust system. It's got a 351 Ford Cleveland. It's just slightly modified, a little hotter cam than stock, and a 4-barrel manifold, and a Mallory dual-point ignition. It's got an automatic C4 automatic behind it. They're painted wheels. They're a directional wheel, a Krager, and it's kind of a new approach into painting the wheels rather than having a billet aluminum wheel. Most of the cars that use the billet aluminum wheels, and we just wanted to have a little smoother look and not break everything up, so we painted everything that we could paint on the outside of the car, including the wheels. The only bright parts that are showing on the outside of the car are the exhaust tips, and they're stainless steel. But the show is fantastic. They treat you right. Everybody has a super time, and I know where I'll be on the 4th of July from now on.
And then suddenly, the holiday weekend was over, and the New England Summer Nationals for 1992 drew to a close. Again, it had been a major success. Thousands had attended. Local charities had benefited from the many fundraising activities held. And everyone would begin looking ahead to next year's New England Summer Nationals, anticipating an even more spectacular weekend. We hope you've enjoyed these video highlights of the 1992 New England Summer Nationals. And to sum up the feelings of everyone who attended the 1992 event, who better than Big Daddy himself?
I'm Big Daddy, and I'm wild about wheels, yeah!